Live from the mist-enshrouded mountaintop fortress that is X and Y Communications headquarters, you're listening to the world-famous Mountaintop Podcast. And now, here's your host, Scot McKay.
All right, gentlemen, welcome to yet another episode of the world-famous Mountaintop Podcast. I'm your host, Scot McKay. You can find me on X, on Truth Social, on TikTok, and on YouTube at Scot McKay. That's SCOTMCKAY, and at Real Scot McKay on both Threads and Instagram. The Facebook group, which you guys should all be a part of by now, is indeed facebook.com/groups/Mountaintop Summit. If you go to Facebook search and type in Mountaintop Summit, it should come right up. Join our group of guys who are getting better with women and becoming better men in the process. And as always, gentlemen, mountaintoppodcast.com is the place to go for all things related to this podcast. Free downloads, show notes, all that is there for you and more at mountaintoppodcast.com. My returning guest today is none other than Michael Allison, who is the CEO of the Adversity Academy and a professional speaker at the national and perhaps international level. The difference today is he has brought his lovely wife, Courtney Allison, with him to talk about, well, second chances with women. And I'm looking forward to a great show. It's not typical for this podcast to have two guests at once, but I'm excited about this particular one for sure. Michael and Courtney Allison, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Hey, Scott, thank you for having us here, man. It's an absolute pleasure to be back with you, man.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you both here. Double the pleasure because you're both here this time.
Absolutely. We're excited to be on the show together.
Yeah. And Courtney, I'm going to throw you under the bus. This is your first podcast interview ever.
It is, but it's a delight to have this as our conversation point. So I'm excited about it and ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, you're already doing a great job. Now, see, by day, you're a lady boss in the IT world, so you know what you're doing. You have lots of confidence. You're ready to rock. This is just another little notch in your gun, huh?
That's right.
That's right. All right. Now, truth be told, both of you have a future together as podcast hosts for couples. So you have a show upcoming. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. We have the Marriage is Beautiful podcast. We're in the works and in the makings right now, but it's more so about helping couples based off some of the things that we've been through ourselves that we'll share here, probably here with you on your podcast, but it's to help people to get through some of those same things that we've been through challenging as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with that title, you'll have some convincing to do, but I'm sure it'll be a great change a lot of hearts and minds and marriages, I'm sure. You know, on that note, Emily and I launched, oh man, it's probably going back 16 or 17 years, Tempus Fugits, doesn't it? We had the domain, we had the whole forum set up, we were going to do a podcast, and we called it the Happy Couples Hangout. Sounds like a great name. Yeah. We've abandoned the domain since then and everything. Boy, it never got off the ground because happy couples don't have any questions. We don't have any need for that. It's like, we're happy. What do we need you fools for? You know, I mean, we're over here, living the dream. What do you want to do? Disrupt that or something? Why would I want to talk about my marriage with a bunch of other happy couples? I can do that with my BFFs. So it actually, there was no pain point there. So nothing happened. Mm-hmm. But I mean, waving the banner of marriage being beautiful, I think is beautiful in and of itself. And I'm sure you guys will have a great show and everybody needs a little bit of encouragement. And Michael, the last time you were on, you were one of the few guests we had on who actually gave his backstory because it's one hell of a backstory. You've been through a lot. You're a military veteran. Thank you for your service again, by the way.
Thank you.
And man, the things that you have overcome in this life would just make Will Smith in Pursuit of Happiness blush. Man, that movie's so hard to watch. It's like any Taylor Sheridan show where everything bad happens to everybody all the time. It's not entertainment. And certainly, your early life was less than entertaining, but now you are with Courtney again, I might add. And I would love for both of you to share that story, especially you, Courtney, from your perspective, because man, this is one of those stories, gentlemen. Let me just give you the spoiler alert where if they can do it, you could do it. If you have something that's just rotten in your life right now and you're kind of in a dark time, let these two speak to you, minister to you even, because what they've been through and what they've overcome and not only still standing but being happy is just overwhelming. So you two tell your story. I've said enough.
Okay, I don't know where to begin, man. So I'm gonna start at the not too far to the beginning, but we'll give it a little go here. I met Michael. We actually dated on from an online app, and that's how we met. We dated for 5 years in Georgia after we actually got to see each other after being online, and then we got married. I moved to Maryland, and that first 6 months, we were blended family as well. I must say that. I had a 9-year-old at the time, and he had a 3-year-old at the time. And when we got married, it was definitely a rocky road trying to blend the families. And as you know from Michael's past, he also was in the military and he was dealing with his own traumas. I was also dealing with my own family upbringing trauma. So trying to blend not just the families, but also the traumas together. We didn't have a lot of tools in the toolbox on how to figure out communication, conflict, resolutions. So that was a battle in our home for the first 6 months. And we decided to part ways. He also was going through a nasty custody battle in another state down in Florida. So with that being said, I left and went to live with my son in Maryland, and he went to live with his son in Florida. And we struggled trying to figure out how to make a long distance relationship during our separation. We didn't quite get a divorce yet. We separated. And then we just decided at that point it was not working. And 6 months after that, so about a year later, we were divorced. And I want to say about a month after that divorce was final, we was like, oh crap, what did we just do? Because ultimately we really loved each other. And yeah, we had some challenging times, but we felt like we could kind of rebuild, and we struggled with the rebuilding, going to counseling virtually. And then we also decided to date long distance for quite a while. And fast forward a little bit, there's a lot more to this story, and I'll let Michael fill in any gaps here. But after about, I want to say about 3 to 4 years of long distance dating, we then decided to, okay, now let's try again. And we moved back in a house together, and there we go again. It was a battle. So still didn't really learn a lot. Didn't have a core foundation in our beliefs as far as our faith with Christ. Both of us was just struggling, and we parted ways again. So it wasn't the second chance. It was like a third chance. So after that, I moved back home in Atlanta, and he worked on himself individually. I worked on myself individually, and we decided to do counseling one more try virtually. And we got remarried in March of 2023, and I moved back to Florida at the time. So here we are again, 2 years now, remarried. And it's been the best 2 years of my life, to be honest, Scott. I mean, we've learned so much through this process of marriage and understanding each other as a relationship. And this has been the happiest time we've ever had in this whole 15 years of dating, remarried time of our life.
Now, see, Michael's going to get up here and go, that's not how it happened at all. Now, just a little comic relief there. That is a beautiful story. I love the name of your upcoming podcast even more, Marriage is Beautiful, because people would look at both of you and go, well, that would be an ironic name. This is going to have to be some kind of comedy show or something, because that doesn't sound beautiful at all. It sounds like a total lurid mess. But you know what's interesting about what you just said, Courtney, and you have no way of knowing this, but 2 of our recent guests, not 1, but 2, got on this show and said the greatest harbinger of a lasting relationship is not necessarily how much a couple has in common, but their ability to handle conflict together.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's what you're preaching, isn't it? Because maybe the first time around, possibly even that second time around, you two were kind of out in the cold when it comes to that stuff, huh, Michael?
Yeah, that's true, man. You know, for us, when we got together, we were in our late 20s, and then we got married in our young 30s. And we're thinking that we know it all. But quite honestly, there's no true blueprint to what marriage is like with two people from two different backgrounds. And I say that I'm from the Caribbean, have a different background, upbringing, and what marriage or what does a couple relationship look like, especially somebody coming out of the military too as well, where things are much more structured, much more standard for me. And then meeting her and her son in our blended family situation. So there's a lot more dynamics that I had to deal with and understand. And someone being at that particular time in my life with dealing with so many things, it was coming at me pretty fast, and it was a big struggle for me too as well, going through that. And I guess you want to say someone that has PTSD, someone that is dealing with some of the mental challenges and things like that. I have a very short temper and get frustrated very easily. I could easily go into a depression mode very fast. And some of those things were really triggering a lot of things for me. And I was pouring out some of that frustration into my family too as well, man. And that's some of the things that I truly had to address before I even wanted to step back into our relationship and put our family back together.
Yeah, you know, a lot of times people talk about relationship readiness, don't they? And it seems like this ethereal standard that we all have to kind of live up to. And no one really can define it very well, but they know it when they see it, apparently. If you're going through a whole lot of stuff like that, there really isn't a whole lot of yourself left to give to a relationship because you're trying to bail out your own lifeboat. You know what I mean? Right.
Yeah.
When you're going through this stuff and you're sinking and there's no one there to help you, like throw an anchor and help you, man, it'll keep you down there, man. But luckily for us, you know, we kind of like relied on each other and knew that there was something there between the bond between us. And we just had to like dig in and actually truly work on that if we truly wanted to make this thing work.
Also, we both come from families where our mom and dads are still together. And so that is a significant part of our life. And seeing those relationships, we knew that they've been through difficult times and we knew that they figured it out. Yeah, they're not perfect. They've had a lot of conflict in their lives, both of our families. But so we wanted to understand why we couldn't figure it out. Why did we couldn't understand how to be, I guess, like the old folks would have relationships, right?
Right. No, I understand exactly what you're saying. And again, the two of you probably would have no way of knowing this, but I was the first divorcee in my entire family's history on both sides.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
And you can imagine the shame and the guilt at the familial level. I mean, all of a sudden I was, you know, not exactly persona non grata. I mean, everybody was very gracious, but nobody knew how to handle me or my situation.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like when you're married and you have other couples as friends and then somebody gets divorced and no one wants to hang out with the third wheel anymore. They have to go start all over even at the friendship level with other people. Right. Yeah, there's a lot of pressure there when your family has a history of strong, positive marriages or even dysfunctional marriages where they gut it out and stay together anyway, even though one of them probably should have left, because that's just not what we do around here. So I completely understand what you're talking about. I would like to add two things there. First of all, the fact that the two of you are together after breaking up not once, but twice is unusual and indeed improbable. And I've been on record as saying that when couples break up, it's probably for good reason and they should stay broken up. And usually when they get together, it's because they don't have any other options or they're returning to what they know, or they have a somewhat fantastic, in the true sense of the word, view of what happened the first time around, because human memory likes to remember only the good times and close out or repress those bad times. But the two of you have beaten the odds here, and that indicates that there was something there both of you needed to figure out, or a lot of something's there that both of you needed to figure out, and you've done it. And that's what I want to talk about next. But before we go there, there's a lot of talk on this show, Michael and Courtney, about transactional relationships. Because you mentioned, Courtney, what is it about the old folks, you know, as you call them? And I resemble that remark nowadays. I'm getting closer and closer to that point, by the way. I look in the mirror and go, Dad, you know. And they all tend to be together for a long time. I think there's no doubt there was less divorce back during, you know, the greatest generation, as we call them, the World War II folks who are in their 90s now. And nowadays, relationships seem somewhat disposable, don't they?
Yeah.
It's like if I get together with someone, what are they going to do for me and what am I going to do for them? What's the deal we strike here that's in the best interest of both parties? And of course, when someone's not getting what they need, they cut and they run because it was all a business deal. It was a transaction. And also nowadays, the most current state is people are entering into relationships really without any mind at all towards what the other person should get or is entitled to get from this relationship. It's all about what I want, what I need. And if I don't get it, I'm cutting and running, regardless of whether you're fed or not around here. And that's really a sad state of affairs. So talk to us a little bit more, Courtney and Michael, about how you battled back against that postmodern mindset and said, okay, both of us, we've been through some stuff here, but we absolutely love each other. This isn't something that's a purely transactional relationship. There's meaning, there's purpose, there's a longing for each other that a lot of other couples lack. And that's worth giving this every shot we have. What process caused you to arrive at that solution of going old school, for lack of a better way to put it?
For me, Scott, I would say that it had a lot to do with my faith, right? I grew up knowing that divorce wasn't an option in my family or just in my faith. And I was battling that, being separated from Michael, just me and my spiritual growth with God. And I had to find reasons, just trying to figure out and balance the reasons on why am I separated. And just reflecting in my spiritual growth and my spiritual faith, I just knew that that's not something that I wanted in my life. And so I had to do the individual work as well to kind of reflect on what did I do in this relationship that caused us to move into a direction of separation and divorce. So I went to individual counseling. It wasn't just about Michael doing his work. I had to also reflect as a woman, where did I need to grow? And that's what really made me realize that there's more to this relationship than just the issues that we were having. Also, with that in mind, the issues that we were having were not irresolvable. We could get through these issues if we were just talking through them and had the right tools and the right people to talk with, and some wisdom, basically, is what we needed about the issues that we were going through. So after understanding that, then I realized that our relationship is much more than what we've allowed it to be.
Michael, it sounds like the two of you didn't play ye old blame game with each other. Like, this is all her fault. She's going to have to fix everything or I'm not coming back, and vice versa. You didn't play that game.
No, we didn't. We actually took accountability and responsibility individually first, that was the first thing that we did. And as we separated, we identified some of the things that was tied to that. And for myself, I had to work on myself from the inside out and identify what were some of the areas that were keeping me back to be my whole self in this relationship and give 100% of myself in this relationship. And as I took a step back, Scott, I was dealing with the trauma from the past, but then some of those things I was dealing with also was tied to some people call it soul ties. So things from past relationships that included from like my ex-wife that I was still carrying on with some fear, some guilt, some aggression that was tied to that could potentially hurt me in this relationship. And subconsciously, I was holding that against Courtney as well, too. Then following that, I'm going through this child custody situation with my own personal son, and I'm going through raising a son, which is her son, and I'm struggling in that department too. And it caused a bit of resentment, a whole bunch of other feelings that I was dealing with and going through at that time. So that's when I really had to start looking at what is causing me to feel this way. And that's how I started working on myself to address some of these things in regards to moving forward. Following that, for me, I think it was a moral obligation for me in regards to taking this woman, taking her hand and asking her to be my wife. And I guess knowing that I did not fulfill what I said I was going to do and keep my word to that. And kind of like when I look at the accountability standpoint of it, did I uphold my end of the bargain in regards to us walking away? And I personally did not feel like I did that. So that's when I said, all right, how can I change things about myself to be a better man? And that's when I got into things with accountability partners, got into things with coaching, got into things with mentors in different groups. And some of those things truly helped me. And one of the biggest things was also changing my environment. So either the people that I was hanging around, some of the things that I was watching on TV, some of the things that I was listening to, some of those external factors that could actually have an impact on that played a part into me changing and going in a different direction too as well.
Yeah, you're talking about those external influences. A lot of men out there are listening to this red-pilled stuff, and the men going their own way, have a huge presence on YouTube. And guys who actually mean well and actually like and adore women can fall into that trap of being a little jaded by what they hear. You'll be called a simp if you do anything to try to get a woman back. You get derided in the men's groups on Facebook for even trying to repair a marriage, because these guys will get all macho and go, oh, just kick her to the curb. Meanwhile, the women are no better. You have angry feminists out there telling women they don't need a man at all. You probably shouldn't even want a man. And all this does nothing but spur along that idea that men and women shouldn't be together. And next thing you know, men shouldn't be masculine. They don't need to be providers and protectors. Masculinity and femininity at best are social constructs. At worst, masculinity is toxic no matter what you try to make it look like, even if you mean well. And that means fewer couples are getting married, fewer couples who get together stay together. There's pressure on the birth rate. Fewer couples are having kids. And that, to me, is what's toxic. But by the two of you having the wherewithal, and yes, to use the same word you did, Courtney, having that wisdom that really only comes from life experience. You could be as book smart as you want to be, but until you've lived some life and been kicked around the block a few times, you really don't have the wisdom you should have to make the kind of decisions you need to make to really succeed in life. So with that wisdom the two of you share now, both of you did work on yourselves, saying, hey, you know what? I don't care who has an opinion on this. I'm going to do what I think is right between me and my God to be the best person I can be. And then when the two of you got back together, it wasn't really that you were a simp or anything, because you had this goal in mind of getting your ex back. Both of you were on the same page. You see, when it's a double standard or it's one-sided, that's when someone's acting foolishly. But because both of you knew you loved each other and you wanted this, that was almost like, the magic wand you needed to wave over this to get the two of you back together, although it's perfectly logical, not magical.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. When it's a common bond and both of us feel equally yoked together and we're equally vested, I think it made the process much more seamless for us in regards to wanting to be involved and wanting to be there to support each other. As we went on this journey individually, and then we went on this journey collectively together too. Then we even brought our kids in. And that was the beautiful aspect of this in regards to bringing our family back together. As I mentioned to you before, I felt like this was my part in regards to, as a man, as a father, that I wanted to get my family back together, get my kids back together, and rebuild that. I feel obligated that this was something that I played a part in breaking down, and I wanted to play a part in building that back up. We could get caught up in some of these things I hear, either the rhetoric around alpha males, getting caught up, the rhetoric around some of the things where you're not a man if this or any of those types of things. But for me, at my core beliefs and some of the things that I feel like I'm truly obligated to do as a man, as a husband, as a father, I'm going to step into that place and step into that role to make sure that I'm going to be in that position, to make sure that I'm going to take care of my family, take care of my wife, and take care of my kids.
Well, you'll get no argument from this side that a real man puts his family first.
Right.
You'll get no argument from me there. Michael, what would you say to men out there who say, look, all women are terrible. They're all going to leave you. None of them really love you. They're all selfish. They're solipsistic. They're kind of in their own head. They live for the moment. And as soon as someone taller, more handsome, and richer comes along, they're out the door. So, yeah, you really are being foolish here. This is all a big pipe dream. You're being a little quixotic about this, if you will. What would you say to those guys?
Yeah, what I would say to those guys is truly identify what is your standards, what is your identity, what is things that you believe in at your core that you will die on a hill for. And you're going to have plenty of women come across you, but the ones that's truly for you, they're going to truly be there for you regardless of any of your circumstances, any of those situations. And when you're looking for the type of woman that's going to be in your corner, be by your side through the good, through the bad, any of those circumstances, that's who you truly need to identify with. But you need to identify what your standards are, because whenever you get into circumstances and situations where you're going to have these women that are transactional, fly by night, or in it for some of these superficial types of things, if you're not making the money, if you're not driving the car, if you don't have the job, if you don't have a certain type of status or stature in life, then eventually you might see her walk out the door on you, cheat on you, or seek things in other places that you cannot provide. So you need to truly be confident in yourself. You need to build up yourself to understand where this is who I am, this is who I stand for, and this is the type of person that I'm looking for to be with. And if this person cannot be with me for what I stand for, what I believe in, then that's a good telltale sign that this person is not for you.
Courtney, this show is almost 100% men listening.
Okay. Okay, that's good though.
I love how you had a good-natured laugh at that one. I'm going to ask you the same question from your perspective. There are a lot of women out there who think there are no good men.
Mm-hmm.
And you and Michael, and this is addressed to both of you, had every right to believe, what they said about the other gender and about marriage was absolutely correct. This sucks. I should never have done it. It was a big mistake. Now I've made that mistake twice, as you roll your eyes, and I'm never going back. I am going my own way. But here you are. Both of you are together. I think you've talked very eloquently and clearly about what got the two of you back together for good this time. But Courtney, what would you say to the guys out there who are pretty convinced all women are against men? They've decided that none of the men are any good. There are a lot of women out there who think men are responsible for everything bad that's ever happened in the world, and there's a lot of propaganda out there about it.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, why are you still thinking differently? And second of all, what would you say to the men out there who might be suffering from this mindset that says, I'm never going to find a good woman, so why try?
Well, the first thing I would say is you have to be able to find the ability to silence the noise. There is a lot of noise that happened while we were trying to get back together, whether or not it was family that didn't want me to go back, whether or not it was friends or just like you say, social media, or you see it on TV that don't go back to your ex, or don't, men are this, men are that. So you have to silence the noise and know what you want for yourself. And I think Michael said it best, being confident in who you are, as well as knowing exactly what matters to you most in a significant other. You have to understand that. Take some time to sit down and reflect on what makes you proud, what makes you happy, what do you want out of life, and then start to believe and understand that you are capable of finding someone. You have to truly believe that in your heart, that there is something out there for you. Do some soul searching. You have to work on yourself first. Get that negative mindset out, because it really comes down to your mindset as well. If you sit here and believe that there's nothing out there, then nothing will find you. If you believe that there is a woman that fits what you want out of life and complements you, then you will find that person. Also, you might just need to stop looking and understand where you're looking. If you're going to the bars looking for a woman, you might find the wrong woman. So you may need to figure out where the best place to go to find that mate. And sometimes it could just be natural finding by going for a walk in the park. You never know. If you keep your mind open, just be confident in who you are, you'll find the right person.
A lot of people out there would say you beat the odds by meeting each other on a dating app, because, man, is that ever a cesspool nowadays? So it really can be anywhere. Marriage is not supposed to be a socio-political agenda. So when you let socio-political stuff poison something beautiful that's arising between a man and a woman, really what you're doing is being easily led. That's not leadership, that's following. Yeah. And that's not very smart, and in many ways it's not very practical. Yet I know so many couples who have a reasonably good relationship, and it's being strained by what they're being told by social media and the evening news. And I just think that's tragic. So I thank you so much for bringing that up. My last question was going to be for both of you. What would you tell someone who's struggling with exactly what you've been struggling with over the years right now, And what would you tell them to help inspire them to lift themselves out of that pit? But you know what, Courtney? You gave a brilliant answer to that already. Do you have anything to add to that before I turn the mic over to Michael?
I think that the one thing that I want to make sure that we call out, if you're struggling right now, find a counselor and make sure I always tell Michael that counseling is like dating, because you have to find the right counselor too. Just don't pick any counselor. You need to match your counselor with who you are, what your background is, your culture upbringing. That's very important as well. So find a counselor if you're struggling with it, and talk those things through with the right person that can give you the right advice.
Michael?
Yeah, I would just add, I would recommend to any man that's out there that either been divorced or struggling to try to navigate this relationship thing is, Courtney mentioned this first, but is identify some things and do that soul searching within yourself and identify who you are, reclaim yourself, reclaim your masculinity. And once you step into who you're truly supposed to be, then so many things will open up for you, because your vision has changed, your perspective has changed, your outlook have changed. And now you could actually go in the direction of where you're trying to go with your relationship. Now you'll identify, all right, this is the type of woman that I'm looking for. This is the type of woman that meets the standards that I want to be with in my life, that I could say, this is something I could go long term with. Because we could get so down the rabbit hole of falling into the traps of distractions, drift off of the path of where we're trying to go in a relationship.
Boom. I think that's your mic drop. Wonderful, wonderful conversation. Man, we went a lot of places angels fear to tread nowadays when it comes to talking about relationships. But I want to thank both of you. You're very inspiring indeed. And I'm 100% sure the guys got a lot out of this conversation. I want to point these guys to your website, Michael, which is the Adversity Academy, where they can find out more about you. And that's at mountaintoppodcast.com/Allison with 2 L's, ALLISON. And what are they going to find when they get to that website, Michael?
Yeah, definitely. When they come to the website, they'll have the opportunity to be a part of my group coaching, my one-on-one coaching, my online personal development programs called Break the Bottle. And then also for our CEOs and executives out there, we do have leadership development training for our first-time supervisors, middle management supervisors, and executive CEOs too as well.
Yeah, that's something I've come to realize lately as well, is that relationships and business are very similar.
Definitely, Scott. I agree with you, man. I think personal development and professional development do coincide.
Yeah, good stuff. And also, gentlemen, be on the lookout for the upcoming podcast, Marriage is Beautiful, hosted by both Michael and Courtney Allison. Both of you, thank you so much for joining us today. I think it's been absolutely valuable and fantastic to have both of you on as a couple. Thank you again.
It was an absolute pleasure to be here with you, Scott. Thank you, man.
Yes, thank you so much, Scott. I enjoyed every minute of it.
Well, both of you are quite welcome. Hope to have you back as your marriage evolves. When your podcast is launched, make it a point to come back and talk to us about that.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
All right. Gentlemen, head on over to mountaintoppodcast.com and check out our 3 main sponsors. Jocko Willink's Company, Origin in Maine, the Keyport, and also, and especially this time around, Heroes Soap. Check it out, guys. Heroes Soap just came out with shampoo. And no, they're not going to send you a bottle of this stuff. They're going to send you about a 3-inch bar that looks a lot like soap. And what you do is you put it in your soap dish in the shower and get your hair wet like you normally do. And about 3 swipes of this shampoo bar on your head, and you're going to lather right up. You're not going to believe how squeaky clean your hair is going to be. Now, listen, I've had this bar of shampoo. I know it sounds strange to even say it, in my shower for probably 3 weeks now, and there's no appreciable difference in the size of the thing. It's like Willy Wonka's everlasting gobstopper, the shampoo edition. Guys, you got to try this. Not only does it work as advertised and last that long, it smells great too, and you can get it in a bunch of different scents that are all masculine and none of those things that feminize you, the phthalates and the parabens and all that nasty stuff that's in that cheap shampoo you've been using. Give it a try. This is brand new from Heroes Soap, and you can check it out at mountaintoppodcast.com by clicking the Heroes Soap link, or go to mountaintoppodcast.com/Heroes Soap. Gentlemen, I also want to hear about you, about what you got going on in your relationships with women, and yes, in your career right now. The first call is absolutely free. You can schedule that at mountaintoppodcast.com using the red button in the upper right-hand corner of the website, especially if you're on a desktop. I think if you're on a mobile, it's front and center right there at the top. Schedule that call with me for about a half an hour. We'll talk about what you got going on. I guarantee results in advance, even if you don't do a coaching program with me. But if you do want to do a coaching program with me, if you think that's a good fit, we'll put that together as well. All of that and more is there for you at mountaintoppodcast.com. And until I talk to you again real soon, this is Scott McKay from X&Y Communications in San Antonio, Texas. Be good out there.
The Mountaintop Podcast is produced by X&Y Communications. All rights reserved worldwide. Be sure to visit www.mountaintoppodcast.com for show notes. And while you're there, sign up for the free X&Y Communications newsletter for men. This is Ed Roy Odom speaking for the Mountaintop Podcast.